All right, today we're going to talk about something that might be very sensitive for you. And that is, I'm going to tell you why I do not listen to any channelers. Any channelers. Well, I'll explain the difference between somebody getting messages and somebody channeled, certain ways of being channeled. We're taking the training wheels off, kids. You ready for that? I'm going to talk about that because I want you to think good and hard about how many people you might be watching out there who channel. Now, let's just go into it. I want you to be cautious about this. We're taking the training wheels off. Let's go. Welcome to Landria, Onkka on YouTube, here to help you break through those fears and live an amazing life. Okay, let's get to it. Why do I teach breakthrough fear? My whole platform, I realized, wasn't about going into this amazing enlightened space. You can do that. But what stops us from doing that? We have fears. We have habits, beliefs, ideas. We are not in oneness, we're in separation. And so we stay in a space that limits us and stops us from, self-imposed, from going into the expansive space that's right here now. It's not a place we have to go to. It exists here now. But as long as you believe something, it is true. So you see my video, I said, everyone's right. All things are true. All. If you believe it, it's true. Why would I try to tell you anything different? If you believe something, it is your privilege to believe it. But we have to have other people believe what we do, thus separation. Now this brings us to channelers. Now I'm going to ask you to subscribe. If you like my channel, please subscribe and share them. I'm happy to have you share them. And also, if you haven't gotten my book yet, this actually clarifies everything, including what we're talking about today. Breakthrough fear. Why is it your spiritual butt kick? Because you hold the power yourself. Now, why don't I listen to channelers? I'm going to explain what channeling actually is and what happens in the actual higher realms. Channelers are people who believe that, and I believe that the majority of people are, let's just say, not the real deal, but they believe it. I think most of them believe it, and then there's some that absolutely know they're putting people on. And there's a lot of those. That goes with tarot card readings, even astrology, depends on who the person is. So we need to be cautious, and here's why. In the higher realms, anything that is of a higher nature is not going to take over somebody, and speak as an individual entity. Okay, as an individual entity. Those in higher realms are not individuals anymore. They don't have names. They are one. They are of the one source of all things. And you and I are that too, but we're playing a role of being separate and individual, and that is our biggest challenge. I'd say downfall, but it's part of the game. When someone steps aside and allows an individual entity to speak through them, we don't know what that is. So I'm going to talk about that entity speaking in just a moment, but I want to just clarify something. As long as you're a human being, the essence and energy of that human nature and character will always be a part of the channeled message. It always will be. You can't, it's one thing. You can't put it, it's not like, oh, I'm over here now and this is pure. No, it is always going to infiltrate. And therefore you will see some channelers starting to sound like people with opinions, right? Starting to sound like, that person that's supposedly channeling them. And then they start to get in trouble because they start to blend into whatever this message is. Now let's talk about the channel itself. The channeled message, what is it? What's the purpose? Who is it? And why are they doing this? First of all, the minute somebody steps aside to let something take over and speak through them and they don't know what's going on, you got a problem. All right? Because now they are in control. And as an individual that supposedly has all the answers, I'm wondering, wow, does Source know this? Of course it does. It's allowing these entities on the other side to do whatever. Or the human being who believes there's an entity speaking through them, and it's really just them, and an excuse to make up a voice and get a lot of views on YouTube. And yeah, I am making fun because some of it is just ridiculous. Now there are those who are real, and I'm not saying that there aren't real channelers. But my question to you is, if they're stepping aside and allowing something to speak through them as an individual, we have to be really cautious. Now, some do speak as a group. Now, I remember Dolores Cannon. If you don't know who she is, look her up. I am actually trained by Dolores Cannon as a quantum healing hypnosis technique hypnotist. We do past life regressions, and it's pretty amazing. It's mind-blowing, actually. But we never allow anybody to speak through us, and we never allow anything to take over anybody else. The voices that come through, the people that she was hypnotizing, would start to give Dolores messages as a group that had no name. In fact, they even said, if you want to give us a name, you can. I don't know if it was called The Source or whatever. But they were letting her know that they were just giving information, dictating a book. She never went into a trance. She was never a medium. Some people say she was. She was never a medium. She makes a point of saying that. Nothing ever spoke through her. They would speak through the patient who was hypnotized. So the person would go through their past life, and then these entities would come in and give messages. And they were always pretty amazing and beautiful. There was never one individual, and they actually said, and I believe this, we don't have names. They don't need to have names. When you are one, here it's like, here's a person, I know what they look like, what's their name, because they're an individual. On the other side, you're one blended energy field. You're aware of the different expressions within it, but you don't have to be an individual. Now, when people are channeling these, Archangel Michael, Mother Mary, it's always somebody really important has come through there, and they're all coming through. Oh, it's me. I'm not buying it. I'm not buying it. Okay? So here's what I want to caution you about, and this is where things are changing. Everyone has access to that information. Everyone. And no one entity on the other side is going to come through and tell one person, going to have a great message. And like I said, sometimes messages are beautiful. But here's what I want to ask you. Have you ever compared the messages of the Mother Mary, Mother Mary, Mother Mary? They're never the same. Some of them are completely different. So who's really channeling Mother Mary? None of them. They are channeling a higher voice, their own self, that is probably stepping away from ego, and with their combined personality. It's inevitable. It has to be there. It never separates. As long as you're a human being, that energy field's still a part of that message. All right? So unless you step aside completely and you are in a totally awakened state, anything that you have, your problems, your worries, all this stuff, it'll come on you. I've heard it before. I've heard some major dudes all of a sudden talking about their insecurities. Like, dude, okay? I don't think the powwow Indian that you claim is coming through is talking right now. Why do you need it? You don't. We are going into an era now, and I call it the cleanup period, is we are now experiencing the repercussions of the damages we've created to ourselves, to one another, to our planet, and we have to clean it up. It just doesn't go away. And through the cleanup, we have to become different people. The different person that goes into a golden era, which is happening right now, we are transitioning into it, is no tolerance of the old world that's destructive, and doesn't hand their power over to anybody. Doesn't look to somebody else to tell them what our future looks like, because now we realize we're creating it. So nothing that they can tell you is ever going to be in stone. Can they give us some, heads up or warnings, or, there's all kinds of things that they can do, sure. But I've heard some of them that have never come true. All right. So are you going to, cower, in bed at night thinking this is the end of the world, or we're going to have some kind of big conflict, or, Florida's going underwater. People are like, I can't believe you moved down there. I said, I can't believe you would live your life according to whatever somebody else says might or might not happen. By the way, we know when hurricanes are coming. Okay. Doesn't happen overnight. So the question is, how are you going to live your life? And are you looking to these channelers? We all want somebody to tell us what the future is. I get it. I would love to have somebody sit down right now and tell me exactly what my future is going to be. But what if I don't like it? Guess what? I can change it. So that's why I go to see somebody. I'm like, no, you don't need to hear it to do it right now. You provide the story for your future. And you could say, well, the world, I don't for the world. Yeah, you do. Yes, you do. And the more of us who take charge of our own realities and our happiness and our compassion and love and oneness, we do change the world. It doesn't go in that direction anymore. Just the slightest change you make heads us in a different direction of peace. And so there's the cleanup. There's the uncomfortable part of, the garbage that has to be handled. All right, so we have to do it. We have to go through it. It's going to be very uncomfortable. But that's the individual thinking, service to self. Service to others is not believing that some person has answers, this person's channeling it, this is how things are. And we heard it. I mentioned Bashar, Daryl Anka. So I'm hearing Daryl Anka lately, not Bashar. And he used to have the most beautiful messages. First of all, there's an alien craft sitting over planet Earth, and it's Daryl's future self that channels through him. I'm sorry, I'm not buying it. I think it's a great story. And by the way, people like Whitley Strieber, are his stories true? This contact that he's made, and he's every night they visit him. Yet he has not one shred of evidence. Do I need evidence all the time? No, that's what faith is. I don't believe him because it's quite negative. And he tells us this is how things are, and it's not. It's his perspective of how things are and what's going on and what our future looks like. And then you'll listen to somebody else and it'll be totally different. So do you want to spend your life handing your power, and you're handing your power over, because it's power that you wield. Nobody can take your power. You have to hand it over. And then you become very susceptible, vulnerable, and anything goes at that point. And then you can create that very future that somebody told you. Channelers, I don't believe, I'd say 90% of them aren't the real deal. I seriously, that many. I don't believe individuals come through and blot out somebody's participation to speak. You could say Seth did that, but Seth was a person. He even had an Italian accent. He was a person. Does that make him right or a saint? No. So we were listening to Seth. Seth gave some really cool information, but he also gave some information that was insane, saying that Jesus Christ didn't actually die on the cross, that was somebody else, that they drugged and put on the cross. Okay, now we just went into a different space. Now are you believing what Seth said? Which part do you believe and which don't you? Why do you need that? You can tap into stuff. Now, if you guys have read my book, that's all I did. I didn't disappear. I listened to the messages that I was receiving that had no name and just were guidance to share a message of empowerment, that you hold the power, that you hold it, and that you can change anything. And if that's the message, then that's the one you want to listen to. And there might be some out there, I don't know, because so many of them claim to have the answer to everything. Now we have people like Bledsoe, who was abducted by aliens. So far, nobody's been able to shake that story. Many people witness it. I believe him. But he gets visited by the Golden Lady. Like once a year she comes and she tells him things. I'm cool with that. He's not channeling. She gives messages and predictions that have come true. Again, can we change those predictions? Yes, we can. And he says that too. So if there are messages that might come in a different form that are allowing us to make different choices, in other words, we can stop this, you can change it, right? Then let's do it. Let's do it. But when somebody tells you they think they know the future, run. Run. They are authorities and treating you like you are not equally as powerful, and you are. You are the one source. Ye are all gods. These things you shall do and more. When do we start believing that? Well, many people are. They're realizing we have to work on it. It takes practice. You have to go into meditation. You have to clear out the limiting beliefs and the stories that you've been telling yourself for God knows how many years. That you aren't good enough, that, in these patterns of being broke or sad or, with people that abuse you and all these other things that are you're doing it. It's nobody else's fault. You're doing it. And if you participate with somebody who is doing things like that, you have to participate in it. When you actually take control and admit that you are that powerful person who's equally responsible for participation in everything, you can change any situation. And if you go into situations that are painful, learn from it. That's valuable. It's divine information for you to progress. And then you can raise your frequency. You go up and up. Soon you're in the penthouse and you go, I get it. I get it. But it's like, it would be like me going into a recovery home for people and teaching them how to get off drugs. I've never taken drugs. So you have to experience certain things in your life in order to be the person who can relate to what's going on with others so that you can be of service. So don't discount that and never be ashamed of the experiences that you've had. Failure is only when you don't use them and make the changes that take you to the new place. It is the cleanup period that takes you to becoming the new person that doesn't do that anymore, all right? That made a mistake. Okay, here's the consequences, and now I'm here. What am I going to do with this? And I don't need some person who rolls their eyes back and takes on a different voice to tell me what's going on. And by the way, I've listened to a couple, it's been a really long time, and they didn't really say anything. I'm going, okay, tell me something. I'm not hearing anything. We have people like, you might say, what about Edgar Cayce, Nostradamus? Nostradamus did not channel. He saw the future. Edgar Cayce did not channel, not in the way that others channel. Edgar Cayce accessed a space of knowledge, and he was speaking according to the knowledge. There was no person that came through and told him these things. He would go into this space and completely remove himself and go into that expansive. That's what you can do. And that's why I said when somebody channels, they haven't removed themselves. They're still sitting there because they're talking, They're talking to you, and supposedly this, person that they are is gone. It's not. It's not. So Edgar Cayce, very big exception, but he had the ability to completely access that space and share stuff that he didn't even believe in. So, but again, always said that all of this can be changed. Even Edgar Cayce said, all of this can be changed. So, stop scaring the crap out of yourself. Stop believing that somebody, well, you can believe what you want, but if you want to step outside of, disempowerment, stop believing that somebody else who sits there and makes up some voice and tells you the 500 people that are coming through them, that are all so important, are giving these messages and all this crazy stuff. And by the way, a lot of those people have had very traumatic childhoods. Have you ever noticed that? Yeah. This makes them very important. And, bless them. I have no problem with it, but my concern is How much value are you putting on that? Right? Just remember, you have these answers. You do. Start working on that, because that's the golden era. The golden era is when we become self-empowered and one. Service to others, because that is me, and that is me, and you are me, and we are one energy field, and when we tap that, we go into the Edgar Cayce space where all answers lie. And there's nothing holding you back from doing or being anything. I hope you enjoyed this. Hey, those of you who are looking to create online businesses that it's like self-exploration of who am I? What do I want to do with my life? And we spend time working on that. Then we create a business around it in a very professional way. So that's down here. I believe it's down here. Yeah, okay. I don't know. It's one of these two places. Anyways, go down there. And also all kinds of products that have no plastic, no toxins. We have to clean it up. We're in the cleanup here. Clean it up. I'm giving you options. They're cheaper than regular products, and we're supporting those businesses that are not polluting the planet. We have to do it. You're whole and perfect, strong and powerful, loving, harmonious, and happy. Blessings to you, my friend. Namaste.